Hi, team, and welcome to our next screencast. Today, we're going to be talking about how life starts to change for Americans on the home front. And what you'll notice is a lot of similarities for what's happened in World War One. It worked the first time, so we're going to try to see if we can make it equally as successful a second time around. So, mobilizing the economy created about 19 million jobs and doubled the average family income, which is going to be great coming out of the Great Depression. Families had to move closer to factories, goods are being rationed, taxes are higher, strikes and race riots are happening on our home front. And average Americans are working about 90 hours a week. This is all hands on deck. Every person, every hour counts. It matters if we want to be successful. So, what are some of the different ways that we're going to see Americans either making sacrifices and finding ways to employ them on the American home front? So, looking at some of our minority groups, FDR is going to sign and put into place the Executive Order 8802. So on June 5th of 1941, this is in preparation even before we actually see the attack on Pearl Harbor. FDR is going to sign this executive order that says there's going to be no discrimination in employment of workers in defense industry or the government based on race, creed, color, or origin. Basically, what he's saying is that you cannot discriminate against, anyone and how they're being hired based on who they are. Right? We have these laws in place today, but the goal is that we start to get people working, producing on our home front, and that nothing should limit that. Women on the other, we'll go to the Bracero program next since we're talking about minorities. So Mexican laborers are going to start to harvest fruit and vegetables within our homes. We're going to see them help to build and maintain railroads. So they're going to be put to work ways to help make sure our transportation, our communication, our food production is happening on the Western coast. Women, on the other hand, we're going to start to see them enter the workforce again. 2.5 million women are going to be working in shipyards, aircraft factories. They're going to be manufacturing in plants. And they're recruiting married women as well, unlike what we saw throughout the 1930s. So the image that you're seeing here of the woman is Rosie the Riveter. Rosie the Riveter is not a real person. She's a character that was created because she's supposed to represent being tough and loyal and patriotic. And she's actually a response to Tokyo Rose and Axis Sally, who were the Japanese and European versions of Rosie the Riveter. She represented just like female strength and female contributions. Her backstory is that she has a boyfriend who's fighting in World War II, and she's doing everything that she can on the American home front to make sure that she's able to support him and that he can come home safe to her. So women are going to play a huge role in the production on the home front, much like they did in World War One. So, like we mentioned, we've got people moving at rapid numbers closer to the cities, closer to the factories, and we don't know where to put everybody. So, we come up with this concept kind of like a motel where we call them hotbeds, where you could go in, you could rent a bed for about 25 cents for 8 hours. Basically, you go in, you sleep your 8 hours, you get up, someone comes in, changes the sheets, and someone else gets to go and lay down. The reason for this is because our factories are running 24/7. They are constantly producing. And we need to make sure that we're getting people out of the tents in the cities and parks and trailers and getting them into actual beds and eventually into actual homes. So the National Housing Agency is going to put $1.2 billion towards coordinating public housing, finding ways for people to have homes so that they don't have to rely on these hotbeds, or if they're working in the factory, that their family has somewhere to stay. So the new public housing had tiny rooms and thin walls and poor heating, no privacy really, but it was better than nothing. It was better than living in the former Hoovervilles that we saw of the 1930s. So when you have 15 million people moving closer for available jobs, it's an important thing that we find them housing. All right, so we'll stop here. That is the bell for me recording in school, and I'll talk to you all soon.